The possibility of armed conflicts with the use of nuclear weapons was not seriously considered by the world community for a long time. First, because the Soviet Union ceased to exist and the Cold War ended. Second, people all over the world understood that even a limited use of tactical nuclear weapons could lead to an escalation, as a result of which a global nuclear conflict would begin, which would destroy all life on Earth. And since it was obvious to everyone, most people were inclined to believe that the governments of all nuclear powers would do everything possible to prevent political differences from turning into a war where nuclear weapons in any form would be used. But on February 24, 2022, it became clear that the head of at least one country that possesses weapons of this type is not a sane person who adequately perceives reality. And when, after a few weeks of full-scale war in Ukraine, it turned out that Vladimir Putin was unable to handle the Ukrainian army with the help of non-nuclear weapons, real fears arose. Experts do not rule out that a mad dictator may order the use of part of the Russian nuclear arsenal, and in this case, the United States is unlikely to be able to stand aside. How could America respond in the event of an escalation? Today, we'll tell you about U.S. nuclear weapons in general, as well as the latest bomb, which can hypothetically be equipped with a nuclear charge. New developments. In modern warfare, it often happens that the ammunition used to destroy a target costs significantly more than the target itself. This is due to the difference in the technological level of the warring parties. For example, the cost of one Tamir missile from the Israeli Iron Dome air defense system is about $40,000, while the price of the missiles it intercepts is several times lower. And during operations in the war in Syria, the Americans could often spend a couple of $1 million to destroy convoys of ISIS vehicles, the total cost of which didn't even reach $100,000. Realizing the importance of a possible war causing minimal damage to the U.S. economy, the specialists of the American company Raytheon created a weapon that would be able to effectively destroy the enemy and at the same time be as cheap as possible. We're talking about a new GBU-35B Stormbreaker guided bomb capable of carrying a nuclear charge. Non-nuclear guided bombs have been in the arsenal of many countries of the world for a long time. These include many American models of the GBU series, Russian KAB-500, KAB-1500, PBK-500U, German HS-293, 294, and 295, French Big 1000 Urko, as well as the Israeli guillotine bomb. But the new American GBU-35B Stormbreaker is significantly superior to all analogs, primarily in terms of its range. It can hit targets within a radius of 68 miles from the aircraft. In comparison, the PKB-500U bomb in service with the Russians has a range of only 18.5 miles. By design, guided bombs should make it possible to strike the enemy from a safe distance, but 18.5 miles is very little. This will save only from air defense systems operating at close range. For example, the FIM-92 Stingerman, various manpads designed for firing from the shoulder, more advanced air defenses such as the outdated MIM-104A with the standard Patriot anti-aircraft missile can intercept targets within a 43.5-mile radius, and the MIM-104C PAC-2 complex, which is already in service in the United States, is capable of destroying an object moving at a distance of 99.5 miles. The famous Russian S-400 anti-aircraft missile system has a range of almost 250 miles. But at what distance can it detect American stealth aircraft, such as the F-35, which is already armed with GBU-35B bombs? Some experts put the figure at 62 miles. And if so, then the F-35 can work against Russian aircraft without entering the coverage area of the S-400 air defense system. GBU-35B can be used against mobile targets. These munitions are capable of hitting moving tanks and other equipment from 43.5 miles. No other guided bomb in the world can do anything like that. So how did the engineers manage to achieve such success? The most impressive thing about Stormbreaker is the targeting system. The main strengths are an advanced GPS inertial guidance module and a homing head with 3 independent targeting channels. The latter consists of a semi-active laser head built into a millimeter wave radar and an infrared camera. All 3 channels can work simultaneously and exchange data in real time, which greatly improves the targeting accuracy. Such a variety of aiming allows you to choose the optimal guidance scenario. For example, if it's a stationary target with known coordinates, then it can be entered into the memory of a guided munition drop and it'll correct its trajectory using the radar. When the target is mobile, it can first be acquired by the aircraft's laser. The semi-active laser head will activate when the target gets closer, and infrared guidance will turn on at the very end. GBU-35B can be used in all weather conditions, even when there's a lot of dust on the ground or when the enemy uses smoke for camouflage. There's another powerful tool that greatly enhances the capabilities of this weapon, namely the dual-band communication. This feature was tested on the A-18EF Super Hornet, which first dropped the GBU-35B bomb, and only after that, the other aircraft found the target, and then corrected the warhead trajectory in such a way that it ended up hitting the right place. This means this bomb can be dropped by one aircraft, and then another manned vehicle or drone of the same unit will send it to the newly discovered target. One of the reasons the GBU-35B has such a long range is its design. In shape, it's more like a rocket than a bomb, so it has excellent aerodynamics. Although some sources on the internet have already called it a new type of U.S. nuclear weapon, at the moment it's not known if it'll be equipped with a nuclear charge. Now it's a high-explosive fragmentation projectile effective against armored vehicles, including battle tanks, as well as buildings and boats. The new GBU weighs 204 pounds. So where did the rumors come from that it'll be added to the U.S. nuclear arsenal? There was no information from the Pentagon about this, but one can understand the logic of those who suggest something like this. The bomb is the carrier. You can equip it with any suitable charge that provides a devastating effect, including a nuclear one. The basis of American nuclear weapons at the moment is missiles, but such a delivery vehicle is much more expensive, although it has a longer range and better control. Since the GBU-35B is quite controllable and capable of hitting targets from a distance of 68 miles while being relatively inexpensive, this gives it a reason to consider it as an effective tactical nuclear weapon that could be used with the utmost precision as far as possible with such a stuffing. Having a small size, one such warhead could not destroy an entire enemy base, but it'd be quite capable of destroying several tanks at once. And due to the compact size of such bombs, you can take quite a lot of them with you on a sortie. For example, up to 28 pieces for an F-15 or 8 for an F-35 stealth fighter without compromising the stealth characteristics of the latter. Whether they'll make a tactical nuclear weapon out of it is unknown. The GBU-35B is an excellent bomb, but still loses in performance in comparison to missiles that can hit targets without the need for the aircraft to dangerously approach the enemy's air defense zone. What nuclear weapons does the U.S. already have? The very first atomic bombs, which entered service in the late 40s of the last century, weighed about 9 tons and could only be delivered to potential targets by heavy bombers. By the early 1950s, more compact carriers with a lower weight and diameter were developed in the United States, which made it possible to equip a U.S. frontline aircraft with them. Somewhat later, nuclear charges for ballistic missiles, artillery shells, and mines entered service with the ground forces. The Air Force received warheads for surface-to-air and air-to-air missiles. A number of warheads have been created for the Navy and Marine Corps. Naval sabotage units, SEAL, have received light nuclear mines for special missions. On November 1, 1952, the United States detonated the first thermonuclear charge on Eniwetok Atoll. The composition of the U.S. nuclear weapons carriers and their jurisdiction have changed since the appearance of the first atomic bombs in service with the U.S. Army Aviation. At different times, the Army, Navy, and Air Force had their own nuclear arsenal and means of its delivery. It's assumed that at the present, the American Armed Forces have such means of delivery of nuclear charges as medium-range ballistic missiles, nuclear artillery, and nuclear infantry munitions, missile-carrying ships, and nuclear submarines carrying cruise and ballistic missiles, intercontinental ground-based, silo, and bunker-based ballistic missiles, combat railway missile systems, air-launched cruise missiles, guided and unguided aircraft missiles, strategic bombers, and missile-carrying aircraft. At the time of the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, the United States had 22,217 warheads. This number then dropped to almost 5,000. Production of new warheads ceased in 1991, although there's now information that it's planned to resume. In 2012, the B-6112 Life Extension Program was launched. The main goal of the work, which attracted a number of research, design, and production organizations, was to create a new tactical thermonuclear bomb within the existing B-61 family. By using existing components and some new units, it was necessary to create a product with enhanced performance. Interesting that the terms of reference for the B-6112 project implied the use of the least powerful mode of operation of the main thermonuclear charge, which was proposed to be compensated by increased accuracy of hitting the target. It was to be provided with a new guidance system. In 2019, the serial production of the B-6112 guided thermonuclear bombs began by altering the products available in warehouses. A total of 480 bombs are expected to be upgraded in this way. The number of products planned for deployment has not yet been specified. It's expected that after all this work is completed, only two types of tactical thermonuclear bombs will remain in the arsenals of the U.S. Air Force: B-6111 and B-6112. As a replacement for older bombs in its family, the new B-6112 LEPs will be sent to NATO bases in Europe that already have similar weapons. As of early 2021, the U.S. Department of Defense maintained an estimated stockpile of 3,800 nuclear warheads for delivery on 800 ballistic missiles and aircraft. Most of the stock warheads are not deployed but are stored for potential loading on missiles and aircraft when needed. As you can see, the Pentagon has something to respond with to nuclear threats, no matter what country they come from. Recently, Russia has increasingly threatened the whole world with nuclear weapons, and the number of warheads in its arsenal is almost the same as that of the United States. But the leadership of the Russian Federation should understand that even if you don't consider the atomic bombs, the United States possesses a large number of deadly modern weapons, with the help of which it's easy to calm down any crazy dictator. For example, GBU-37 non-nuclear aviation anti-bunker bombs are capable of reaching the inhabitants of any of the currently known bunkers. The ruler of this country should think about this. What do you think? Is it necessary to use tactical nuclear weapons in modern wars? Share your answer in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.